Melody is for the brain. It's for engaging thought and thematic recall of characters. So thematic recall of characters, who they are, what they're about, what they're doing, what they've done. But it's predominantly a thought process. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull up a little piano here. So if I do this, you go, oh yeah, that movie that I can't remember what it was. I've heard that somewhere before. You may have an emotional response because you know the movie and you saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and that's the 5-note melody of the aliens. But you don't really have an emotional response because of the notes itself. You just don't. You're like, oh, a bunch of notes. Okay, so what? As surely as I can go like this. And I could tell you that's the theme of a movie, but you wouldn't know what it is, and so it's just a bunch of random notes. As surely as I can go. Nice little melody, but you're not really moved. But your brain's going, well, what is that? Is that a movie? Is that something? It engages you to think. And that's important. How about this one? Another movie theme, one of my favorite movies. Some of you know what it is. But if you didn't know, then it doesn't have any character recall for you. You don't have any emotion in the matter. It's just some interesting melody that makes you want to think. How about this? Sure, you're like, oh, it's Darth Vader's theme, which of course is wrong. It's not Darth Vader's theme, it's the Imperial March theme. But we just apply it to Darth Vader. Why? Because Darth Vader embodies the whole darkness of the Imperials, right? His cruelty, his darkness, and all of that. You have an emotion because you know the Star Wars movies, I hope. But there isn't any intrinsic emotion in there. Now you can say that, well, because there's some leaps in there, that there is emotion, and indeed in a melody, the more there's leaps, the more emotion that can be created in thought. Here's another one for you. Let's see. Right? Big, huge leap. The rest of it's pretty what we call scalar. And some of you were like, oh, well, that's E.T. and we love that movie and it moved me a lot. Yeah, but music for music's sake, there's not much in there. It's just melody, except you're immediately brought back to E.T. and who he was and where he did and what he did and where he was and all those things. It's thinking and thematic recall of characters, places, and situations. Here's another one. Now, what's interesting about melody is that melody also has the element of time involved. It's not like looking at a picture, which is static and timeless. There's temporal nature is always involved. So I can take a melody like this, right? And none of you are going to know what that is. I promise you, though, if I add the element of time to it, then you'll know. But that in and of itself has no emotion to it. When you know what the movie is, you're going to go, oh, and then you have a rush of emotion because it's been attached to a movie. But those notes by themselves have no emotional anything. It's just thinking. Now, if I had time, you already know what the movie is. I just played 3 notes. You already know what the movie is. I'll play the next 3. I'll play them in a row. Watch this. You for sure know what it is now. But it's the same 2 notes repeated the same way 3 times. How boring. Except it's John Williams, and I'm never going to knock him. Sure. You know it's Jurassic Park. It brings back the themes of the dinosaurs, of Sam Neill, and all the rest of it, and that adventure that they went through, that over and over and over, depending on which movies you're watching. I like the last one. It was good. Anyway, melody is for thematic recall and thinking. Harmony is the third element. And harmony is the magic glue. It's the emotion of music. It's not a lot of thought going on in harmony, not a lot of body motion moving around. It's just, oh, I feel it. I feel it, right? So let's just take the Jurassic Park melody for a second and get rid of the melody. Right? There's no melody in there, but you're drawn into that. Even the crew, they've been sitting here listening to me for an hour today, and all of a sudden they're off their phones and they're looking at me going, whoa, that's cool. Melody wasn't it. Rhythm was interesting. They were bouncing around. But when we get to the harmony, they're all like, whoa. And it's not their fault. Every show we did in the Sound Advice Tour, everybody's like, it's the evening session. We've been there for 6-7 hours. And they're like, oh, now what? But when it comes to harmony, the heartstrings of the human condition get pulled. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, again, it's temporal. You're not just looking at a painting. It has motion to it, but it's telling another story. It's telling its own emotional, heartfelt story with no words. And this is where people start getting confused about music being the universal language. It's not, in my opinion. Culture is the universal language as you apply it to music. But in this case, harmony pulls the heartstrings one way or another, but it definitely pulls in every human being. You may not like it, you may not relate with it, but at least it pulls. And it's telling a different story. And that story may not have anything to do with your story, the story you're trying to tell. So you got to be really careful. This is a very interesting story. One of trust, right? And maybe it could be honor. All right, it could be the harmony for the Patriot or something. Or some other, war film. Right? It could be. But harmony doesn't have character recall. You're not remembering particular traits and places and things about Sam Neill's character in Jurassic Park. You're just remembering the overall story, an overall emotion. And that's the power of harmony. Here's another one. I played this melody earlier. Oh, same key. Now, some of you know what that melody is, and that's fine, but here's the harmony. Super simple. 2 chords, just repeated twice. Can't be more boring. But it has an emotion to it. There's something entrusting about that as well. There's something, just intangible about the story that is telling. Now, if we put these things together, then music becomes more than the sum of its parts. We put the melody, the thematic recall, with the emotion, and then if you have rhythm, and it creates sort of a triumvirate, unseparable, unanalyzable emotional core that people just go, oh, it's what we feel. Yes. But I'm committed that you're going to figure out how to make it work. Here's another harmony that I played the melody earlier. Now, you could argue there's melody in there, and there's a little melody, but it's not the melody. And if you didn't know what that harmony was for, you just go, that's a nice little moving thing. Something's moving in that, and it's moving, and it's feeling whatever that feels like for you. But when we put the melody together with it, with that fun lead, it becomes this inseparable whole. It's E.T., it's John Williams. It's the miracle of what Spielberg did and John Williams did together to make something that was one of the highest grossing movies of all time. And it's that emotional core that makes it work. The harmony in time moving. See, if I just do this, it's interesting, but we get bored real fast of that story. It's not until I go here. Now it's moving, and I can do this for a long time, but we're gonna get kind of bored. There's not really an interesting story there until I do this. And then again. Right? It's when harmony moves. Now, melody is always going to move. Fine. But you can keep harmony the same and things kind of get static with that emotional story, which can also be useful if you want the audience to emotionally hover for a while. Check it out. Now we're moving again. So when the harmony moves, we kind of hold. We never go anywhere. No matter what's happening in the melody, I'm stuck until you're ready to move me with the harmony and release back into this key again. Let's try it, everyone. This is fun, right? Contact. I played it earlier. Jodie Foster, Matt McConaughey. Let's put the harmony and the melody together. So put it together, and it's an inseparable whole, the harmony and the melody together. Also, something else happens. Harmony creates what's called temporal compression.